Hey guys, so it is February 27th, Saturday, doing my nice little morning stroll. I'm kind of impressed I can actually do the morning stroll today because my wife got me up for spinning class this morning. Have you ever done spinning class? Let me just say something. Let me just put this out there for any of you guys that put down certain types of exercise. Never say something is girly or gay until you can actually do it. It's like you sit there and you see all those people on those little spinning bikes. Basically, spinning is these stationary bikes, and you're like, well, that looks goofy. Oh my golly, yeah, certain muscles in my body hurt a lot. But again, the good thing with having somebody that's very motivated, having a battle buddy that is very motivated in a certain area, is that they drag you out of the house. So I went to the gym twice this week. So I went Tuesday and Thursday, and I was feeling sore. And so I hadn't planned to come to today. But then my wife saw that there was a spinning class, and she's like, I want to do a spinning class with you at like 7:15 on a Saturday morning. And believe me, about the last thing in the world I wanted to do was a spinning class, an hour-long spinning class at 7:15 on Saturday morning. But I tell you what, went in there, I did the spinning class, and I think I feel better for it. It's actually, I'm not sure how much I will do it, but it is good. It's like it gives you really good cardio. It really boosts your heart rate, and is very nice because it's low impact. So again, now that I'm almost 40 years old, start having to worry about all that impact stuff. So impact is like when you run, that can be hard on your joints. Which again, when you're 20 or 30, who the hell cares? The thing is, when you start looking at people that are 60 or 70 that have been like running all their life, some of them have some pretty bad joints, right? So looking for those whole low impact cardio routines seems like a really good idea. I would like to have my joints, and it does seem to be a bit of a crapshoot, you know, because I know some people that are listening to me talk about high impact. Exercise, and you say, oh, my grandfather, my grandmother was running all the way till she was 80 or he was 80. And the thing is, like, some people it works fine. Like, some people there are no issues, and then other people it can be a real problem. I saw some science on it. I read a scientific paper or whatever on it before, and what they were talking about with people that get joint injuries is the thing is if your joints are perfect and you do running or a lot of this high impact stuff, you won't have any problems. You will not have any problems. Like the whole cartilage, all that crap in there works great if you have if everything's perfect. The issue, they say, is as soon as you get like a little tear, as soon as you get any kind of small imperfection down there or any of your joints, then the repetitive high impact motion really starts to do a lot of damage. So even like a little tweaking, right? The people that get a little bit of a knee injury or a little bit of this injury or that injury, you start running on that, and then you can have problems later. Again, with me and all my old little martial arts and little aches and pains, it's like, low impact. Maybe again, it's not keeping me from hiking when I want to hike. Like when I want to go out there and I want to rough it, as long as my cardio is good, I can still go out there and do it. But again, I can go out there and take damage on my body when I want to take damage on my body, right? You know, hiking the mountains of Lao, I'm willing to take some damage on my body to do that. Running around the neighborhood on asphalt. Yeah, it seems like a waste of cartilage when you really think about it. So yeah, we did that this morning, so basically, since I'm doing more exercises other than simply walking, I went out and I got the new Fitbit Surge phone thing here. So this is pretty cool. It shows you what your actual heartbeat is, and it does a pedometer thing. And then what's also cool with the Surge, it has a GPS built into it, so it'll show you your altimeter rise, and like actually how far you've gone. I figure this will be kind of nice too when my wife and I do go back out hiking, because next month, right? Or, well, not next month, not March, but April, we'll be going out for a month to Florida and the Everglades and all that. So having a nice little GPS unit on my wrist will be a good deal. It's not GPS, like it doesn't show you the map, but it does show you, gives you a very accurate idea of how far you've gone, and elevation up and elevation down. Because the problem is with a lot of the watches, they have to communicate back with a phone to do anything. Apple Watch, Android Gear stuff. So the nice thing with this is the GPS component's built in, so you really get a very good, accurate reading of how far you've gone. And one of the things my wife and I have found is a lot of the mileage readings in parks, national parks and state parks, which is really off, really off. So if you plan to go hike 10 or 15 miles, you have a certain idea of how much energy that's going to take, how much time it's going to take. And then some of these are off like massively, like by a quarter. So you're out there hiking and it ends up being like 20 miles and you only planned for 15, right? So the nice part with this is it'll actually be able to track that. So if we're out there at the 7.5 mile mark, we can start thinking, this trip may be longer than we thought it was going to be, right? So we got that going on. As far as the geek diet is concerned, overall though, we are at 201.5 as of this morning. So that's a very good thing. So that means I've lost like 6 pounds this week. Woo! Although I will admit, that's not quite as woo as you may think. You might be thinking, oh my God, you lost 6 pounds in a week. Well, do realize, this is one way you can like cheat the system, is I ate like absolute crap when my grandmother died, when I went to the funeral. So last week, yeah. So last week, almost 2 weeks ago now, on Monday, my grandmother died. And then last week, we had to go all the way to Ohio for the funeral. And so going to Ohio, basically I had like 2.5 days of just eating like crap food. I mean, you're eating truck stop food, and then you get to the middle of Ohio and you're eating the middle of Ohio food. No offense to middle of Ohio food. No offense to middle of Ohio. Not the healthiest always, right? And so I hadn't actually weighed myself before last week for like months. I'd stayed away from the scale, just didn't want to deal with it. So I hadn't weighed myself at all in months. And then I weighed myself last week at 207 point something or other. So one of the reasons I was able to lose 6 pounds in a week is not because of amazing willpower or because I'm running marathons already. It's a lot of, I started from a level of overeating. And so essentially, it's not like I exercised the weight off. It's more like I just pooped the weight off. You know what I'm saying? Like literally the night we got into Ohio, I ordered a bacon ranch cheese pizza, like a 14-inch one, and ate all of it. So really, like losing 6 pounds in a week, again, like I say, this is not an impressive statement for Eli's willpower. It's more an impressive statement for how much crap I can literally fit in my bowels and then excrete later. But hey, 6 pounds is 6 pounds. Again, but it makes you feel good, right? So you overeat a little bit before your diet starts, and then on that first week, you get that really big bump. You're like, yeah, I lost 6 pounds. Doesn't really matter at the end of the day, but it makes you feel good. It makes you feel good. For me, psychologically, like 200 is one of those weight numbers for me, because when I get to 200, I can go down a size in pants. So for me, what I found is like 200-ish and above, I have to weigh 36 pants, jeans. 200 and below, I can wear 34 jeans. Somewhere around like 185, then you start going down to like 33. And I can get all the way down to like 32 jeans when I'm like 175. So what's nice too is you hit that 200 mark, and it's just that psychological thing where I can get into my smaller jeans. Now the thing is, you may think, well, Eli, what's the difference of 1.5 pounds? Well, here's the thing. If I wait till I get to 200 in order to switch over jeans, then I always feel comfortable in 34s. So this is a problem people get into, is they have this idea of what pants they want to fit into. And so they then squeeze themselves into the pants, even when they shouldn't. Like, yes, technically they fit. From an engineering standpoint, they fit in the pants. From a comfort standpoint, they look like a freaking sausage, and they feel like a sausage. And so one of the things you have to be thinking about is, like, when food and diet and all that, what I've found is really one of the things you want to do is you want to think about food the least possible. The less you think about food, the less likely it is you're going to go out and eat food. Well, here's the thing. If you squeeze yourself into these pants, then you're always thinking that you're still a higher weight than you want to be. And so then you're always thinking about losing weight, which basically means dieting. So ironically, then you're always thinking about food. And if you're always thinking about food, then you're kind of always thinking about eating, right? Again, none of this is rocket science. So the nice thing is if you always stay in comfortable clothes that feel comfortable, then you don't have to worry about that, right? So with me, like theoretically, to 34s, I could probably fit into them at like 205. But by waiting until I get to 200, then I know I'm always going to be comfortable. Oh, look, it's a puppy dog. Random puppy dog alert. Hey, little guy. Oh, yes, we have a puppy dog. Not a puppy dog. Uh-oh. Attack of the... Ooh, sorry, kiddo. Come on. Ignore him. Okay. Trip over a puppy dog. That would be a bad thing. My wife would kill me at that. What did you do? You hurt a puppy dog? No, didn't mean to. Anyways, with that, what is it? So you want to be in pants that are comfortable, because the more comfortable you are, the less likely it is you're going to be thinking about food all the time, and the less you think about food, the less likely it is you're going to eat. So the nice part for me is like 200 is just a psychological place where I know I get to go down to my 34s and then always be comfortable. And so again, that's nice to have like those little goals like that. And again, for what I'll tell you guys is don't sausage. Nobody likes a sausage, right? People, like, they squeeze themselves into the clothes they want to fit in, but the fact of the matter is they don't currently fit in it. And then they just feel like crap, right? They always walk around feeling fat. And that doesn't help anything, right? You know, there's this, again, if you want to feel fat, go to the gym and feel fat. But you don't want to feel fat like 24 hours a day, right? It just sucks. Anyways, along with this whole dieting thing, one of the interesting things that I came across today, which is a good concept for goals, is when we were doing a spinning class. Spinning is a curious thing, because with most exercise you do, everybody's like more or less on the same page, like with weights or with exercise or with whatever that, they give you a certain, if you do yoga, basically everybody's doing the exact same routine with the exact same, energy put out. Martial arts the same way. A lot of this stuff is basically everybody is on the same level as far as exertion goes. Well, what's interesting today, doing the spinning class, is with spinning, you sit there and there's a gear mechanism on the spinning machine, on the stationary bike. So you have gears from like 1 to, I think it was 24. Gear 1 is the easiest to spin, and gear 24 is the absolute hardest. It's brutal, right? And so what's interesting with spinning is they have a routine that you go through. So you stand up and you pedal, and you sit down and you pedal faster, and then you pedal harder. But one of the things that they don't do is they don't tell you what gear you should start in. The curious thing doing the class today is what they said is go through the gears and then find the gear that you feel feels like riding on a flat road. So, everybody's biked, right? Everybody's ridden a bicycle. So they didn't tell you what gear it was. They didn't tell you gear 6. They didn't tell you gear 16 or 10 or 9. They just said start pedaling and find the gear that feels as if you're pedaling on a flat road. And basically that gear is where your beginning position is. And then what they do is as you're going through the routine, they'll then say +1, +2, +3, +4, -2, whatever, based on that initial thing. So if you start out at 9, and they say, okay, pedal harder, okay, we're gonna make it more strenuous, +2. And then you click up 2 gears, and it gets 2 degrees harder. And then they say, okay, keep going. Okay, I want you to go +4. And you go 4 degrees harder. But the curious part by doing it this way is that people don't have to worry about where their starting place is. So it's always, when they make it more strenuous, it's always more strenuous than when you feel that from where you feel comfortable. So if you feel comfortable at gear 10 and they say +1, then you're at gear 11. If you feel comfortable at gear 6 and they say +1, it's gear 7, right? And I think this is an interesting concept that a lot of people should be thinking about when they come up with goals, or they want to do better in life, whatever it is, whether it's exercise routines, or whether it's studying for MCSEs or college or any of that kind of stuff. Is one of the problems that I see with a lot of people is they try to start from a position that's way too hard. They always try to jump in to like the most strenuous thing. Like, if we're talking about gears on one of these little spinning bikes, they always try to like jump in at like gear 20. Like, I'm going to jump in and I'm just going to grind it out. The problem is if you try to grind it, let's say gear 20, and you're not used to it and you can't do it, that's not your normal thing, all you're going to do is you're going to burn out. You're going to get exhausted very quickly. And then you're going to hurt for a long time, right? Because all your muscles are just going to be in a lot of pain, more pain than I'm in, like really. So you're not going to be able to do any more work, right? So that's one of the issues that you see. Like a lot of people try to start small businesses and they just take too much on themselves. They then work 80 hours a week. A lot of people get like physical sickness from when they work too hard. Then they get sick and they can't do anything. And again, the thing that I always say is why not you start from a level of comfort, right? For a lot of you guys who want to be entrepreneurs, if you want to do a startup company, that's slightly different. But if you want to be an entrepreneur, instead of thinking, I'm going to buy a building, I'm going to get 20 employees, I'm going to do all this from square one, think about what can I do 5 hours a week, right? If you throw everything into it, you start at gear 20 from the beginning, like in business, there's you're probably going to fail. Again, as I say, like 80% of all small businesses fail within 2 years. And it doesn't have to be this way. Like when people say that statistic, they just take it as like common knowledge. That's what happens. And it is what's happened, but it doesn't have to happen that way. The reason it happens that way is because people they jump in, they try to do too much work, and then it all just goes boom. Again, you take out a $500,000 loan or a $200,000 loan, you blow through that $200,000 and then it's all gone. Right? You essentially lose $200,000 to $500,000, and nobody's going to want to give you any extra money, right? On the other hand, something to be thinking about is what about if you go out there and you work, like I say, 5 hours a week. So let's say you want to start a restaurant. Let's say your end goal is to start a restaurant. So you could take all the money out of your bank account. Take all the money out of your 401k, beg your mom, beg your dad, beg all your family for money, go to the bank, get even more money, get a building, get employees, try to start a restaurant, right? It's going to be horribly stressful. It is going to be horribly difficult to do. You're trying to go from 0 to 60 very quick. It's going to be brutal. Chances of failure, huge, massive, right? Massive. You're probably going to fail, right? Think about this. Same plan. At the end of the day, you still want a restaurant. But what if you start a catering company where you try to work 5 hours a week? And so 5 hours a week, that might be like catering like one event per week, or maybe two small events per week. And then you do that. And then you figure out what you need to do to be able to cook all the food properly. You figure out the workflows, right? Workflows are a huge thing. You figure out what it takes to find employees. You figure out what the license requirements are. You figure out what the insurance requirements are. You then go from like doing catering, 1 or 2 days a week. And then you think, okay, I want to step this up to something more like a restaurant. And then they have all these food carts, like these food booths. So you go to like the Baltimore Farmers Market. There's a couple of farmers markets where they have these little stalls and they do omelets or they do pancakes or they do whatever, sandwiches or whatnot. And then you go to that, right? So that's more like a restaurant. And then so you did the catering thing and you made money off the catering thing and you were successful enough from the catering thing that you could get money for doing this little food stall. And then you do the food stall and then you make money and then you become successful. And then after you've done that, you step up to the next thing. What do you think is going to make you more successful at the end of the day? Doing it +1, or trying to do it all at one time? And so one of the things I would talk to you, I would argue for you guys, when you guys want to go out there, you want to achieve goals, is feel where your baseline is, like your baseline for work. How much work can you do in a day that feels good? It feels good, Right, yeah, you're tired. Yeah, you're tired at the end of the day. But, it feels good. It doesn't feel like a lot of strain. And then all you do is you just start adding that plus one, right? So again, a lot of people go to college, and one of the reasons people burn out of college, you go to college. While you're at college, you try to get into a sorority or a sorority, whatever the hell the other thing is, the Greek life deal, and you try to get an internship, and you try to get a job, and you try to deal with your first girlfriend or boyfriend, and then people burn out. Like, how many kids go to college and they come running home at the end of the first year? Is it because they couldn't cope with college, or they couldn't cope with the mountain of crap they put on themselves the second they walked in the door of college? And again, so you find your baseline. You know you can deal with college. So you go in and you focus on college. And then you need some more money, because everybody always needs more money. Then you get that part-time job. Then it's like, okay, I'm doing college and I'm doing the part-time job and I need a girlfriend, or boyfriend. It's college. That's how it works, right? And then you add that on top. And then you start feeling good with that. And then you add on the internship on top. Again, plus one, plus two. And then you're going along, and let's say the internship needs more work. And so you're doing more and more and more, and you really start to feel like you're getting tired. And it's like, okay, well, I've got my girlfriend, I've got my college, I've got my internship that needs more from me. I've got my girlfriend, I've got my part-time job. Okay, I need a -2 here. I need a -2. So I'm going to get rid of that part-time job. Right? And then just go plus one, plus 4, -4, -2, -1, right? And you can just keep going back. Everybody has this huge idea, like this whole concept of like all or nothing. And the problem is when you get into the whole concept of all or nothing, most of the time all that happens is you burn out. And I've seen so many people do this. Again, when I was young, I was all in the thrall of so many of these smart kids. Again, these preppy kids. Again, I had a weird childhood. So I was in thrall of so many of these preppy kids, and they were going off to the best schools, and they were working their asses off, and they were getting their college degrees, and they were doing the internships, and they were doing the jobs. And I was really impressed, like jealous impressed, all the way up until like I was like 21, 22, and started seeing how many of those people just started cratering, fucking cratering, right? And the reason is they felt like they should be able to do all this stuff. And, because parents were paying bills, because they had gotten good grades, because of all this stuff, they just piled such a huge workload on themselves. And then again, cratered, getting dragged off to asylums and that kind of crap. I guess they're not asylums anymore, but serious mental health. And all of a sudden, that person that seemed like they were going to take over the world, you looked at them and you were so impressed by the amount of work that they were doing. And then all of a sudden, they just disappear from everything. And basically their life stops. I had a friend of mine was that like that. Just really, really, really smart. Worked their asses off. Was just like, wow, I wish I could be like that person. All the way until they just had a break. And it was like 13 years later that they finally got their bachelor's degree. Like the first year or two of their degree, amazing, right? All the way up until it was just way too much for them. And just something snapped, and they just couldn't keep up. And again, like I say, it ended up they went from being on the 6-year, 7-year plan for a PhD, legitimately, it seemed legitimate, down to 13 years later, finally finishing their bachelor's degree, because they put so much on themselves that they burned out. And so that's one of the things, like with me doing these exercise for this whole idea of geek diet, is the thing is how do you keep progressing without burning out? How do you keep progressing without becoming so things becoming so painful that you can't do anymore? And that's why I only did 3 days of the gym this week. I did 2 days of strength training, and then today I got dragged in for spinning. But that was the thing, you could think well, I want to work out, I want to get muscle, so I'm going to work out every day. But the problem is that your muscles just hurt, right? So, if I went in on Monday and did the strength training, it would be okay. I'd get done with it, I'd hurt. And the next day, Tuesday, I'd go in and I'd be in pain. But, I could muscle through it. I'm an Aspie. I can muscle through stuff. And then, Wednesday, there'd be even more pain. And then by Thursday, things start to feel like, something ripping? Is something, really not good? By Friday, I'd probably get through half a routine and then be like, man, I can't do this. And then it would end up being a month before I went back to the gym. Just because, again, like I said, you start pulling all those muscles, you start working so hard, and it just hurts so much you don't go back. I learned that when I was running before. So that's how, when I dieted, when I exercised before, I did the running. And that was the thing, there's a lot of people out there that go, yo, I'll do like 5 miles. And that's what I found. That's why the whole thing I tell you guys about is like the 2-mile routine. Is if you walk or you run 2 miles a day, the body never gets too burnt out. The body never gets into too much pain, right? So for a long time, I ran just 2 miles a day. Just go out and you run 2 miles a day. It's good exercise, gets the heart rate up and all that kind of stuff. But it's not too bad. It's not too bad. Where a lot of people, they do the 2 miles and 3 miles and 5 miles, and at some point I did work my way up. But then again, like I say, is once you start getting to 5 miles, when you start getting to 10 miles, it starts to hurt. It really starts to take a lot out of your muscles. And if you're not used to the routine, if you're not motivated enough to get out there and do it again, it's a good reason to quit, right? Because again, a lot of stuff in life is routine. Why I like doing things every day is because it just gets me in the routine. It's just psychologically, like with these walks. So I know at 4 or 5 o'clock, I go out and I do my little 2-mile walk or 3-mile walk, whatever this is. It's just a routine. And so the thing is if you're going to get out of the routines, you have to make sure that you're motivated enough to keep doing it. So if you do it every day, it's pretty easy. But as soon as you work really hard and then you take a day off, like coming back to a routine after you've taken 1 day off is kind of sort of hard. It's harder than you would expect. Going back to a routine after you're taking 2 days off, especially if you're not motivated, that's hard. After 3, after 4, after 5. So again, that's one issue that people get into. They go out there and they strain themselves so hard, and then they don't go back. And if you don't go back within a week, basically your routine is gone. Like there's a lot of psychological power in a routine. You just go out there and you do the same thing day in and day out. So if you wait a week, that routine is gone. And then it's even harder to try to get that thing back. So anyways, those are kind of my thoughts for the day. It's getting a little dark. Still got about a mile to walk home, I guess. Oh, yeah, going out there doing the exercise. Feel pretty good. I do have to say, it is nice that I'm down to 201.5. Again, like I say, it doesn't matter. It doesn't mean what it seems like it should mean. But, it's nice. It's always good to see I'm down 6 pounds. But yeah, that's about it. So I guess that's all I've got really to say today. The whole idea of a flat road +1. So figure out what you think a flat road is for whatever you're doing, whether it's exercise, whether it's studying, whether it's work. And then when you feel like you're in the groove, then do a +1. Again, not a +10, not a +20, a +1. And then when that +1 feels pretty good, do another +1. And then when that +1 feels pretty good, then do a +3. And then do that +3 all the way up until you start to feel tired. And then drop down -4, right? Again, so many people get burned out because it's an all or nothing. Either I do absolutely everything or I do absolutely nothing. And again, that's not really how it gets done. Again, how you get work done is just putting one foot in front of the other, just slowly going out and doing it. Again, like if you look at my YouTube video collection now, oh my golly, I'm up to like 2,000 videos. You're like, wow, how do I do 2,000 videos? And it's like, well, it takes 6.5 years. And every day, slowly work towards the next video. Some days, you get 2 or 3 videos done in a single day. Some weeks, you only get 1 video done in a week. Some months, you only get 1 video done in a month. But just keep going out there, and you keep slowly doing it as you're able to do it. Again, like I said, when my wife got sick, that was the thing. When she was healthy, I would go out there, and I would work. I'd do all the work. I'd have fun. I'd be going as fast as I can as far as work was concerned. And then she would get the cancer and, had to go through all the treatments and all that kind of stuff. And then I would just back off. Again, I found my flat road. I'd do +6. I'd be out there, doing all these videos, finding sponsors, all that kind of stuff. Then she would get sick. She would have some issues. So then I'd drop back to, -5. Or -5. So going back to a more stable position with my work. And doing that, I've been able to keep doing the work this entire time. So again, all the outside things that happen, you don't have to stop. Like everybody has this idea, like if something happens in your life, that you have to stop what you're doing. whatever it is, and you don't, right? So let's say you're studying for your MCSE. You're going to get your MCSE, and then something happens. Your parent gets sick, or your wife gets sick, or you have a kid or something like that. There's this whole all or nothing. Either I'm studying for my MCSE and I'll get my MCSE in a year, or nothing. And again, what I would say is like, okay, well, if you thought you were going to get your MCSE in a year, which was reasonable, if you start from nothing to get your MCSE in a year, and then a kid comes along or any of these things, well then can you push it out to 2 years, right? Instead of taking a test every 2 months, how about you take a test every 3 months, right? You don't have to stop. Yeah, you just keep slowly trucking, right? You're studying. You plan to take a test, like I say, in a month or two. Got all this extra work on. You can keep studying. You don't have to stop. You just go. Okay, we'll extend that out. Instead of doing it in 2 months, we'll get it done in 4 months. Again, you'll be surprised. Years pass by. Like I say, my wife and I have now been together 10.5 years. A decade has gone by shockingly fast. I do have to say, like, my 20s didn't go by that fast, to be honest with you. 20s were kind of slow. But I'd say 30s, my God, 30s like went by in light speed. Right? And so again, right, you may be looking at it and you may say, well, if I want to get my MCSE in a timely fashion, I have to get it done in a year. And if I don't get it done in a year, what does it matter? But here's the thing, right? Think about it 10 years from now. Will it really matter in 10 years whether you got it done in a year or 2 years? It's still going to be a long time in the past when it gets done. Same thing as like with college. Like if you're going out there and doing college classes, there's this, I need to get it done in 4 years. Again, like if you're 18 right now, and let's say your college degree takes you 6 years to get instead of 4. Again, when you're 40, is it really going to matter? It is going to matter whether or not you have a college degree. It's not going to matter whether it took you 4 years or 6 years to get. Again, faster when you can, slower, and you just kind of modulate. But the big thing is that you keep going. Again, like I say, with a flat road +1, you'll notice that there's never stop. It's not like stop +1. It's flat road. So bike, pedal as if you're on a fast road, keep going forward, and then add stress or reduce stress as need be. And with that, I don't think you can even see my face anymore. So I think we will call it a day. So that is it for the day. I'll see you guys in the next one of these little vlogs.